Hello and welcome back to Moss and Mushroom Studios. My name is Monique and today we're going to be talking about how to start your own daily tarot routine. I get this question all the time. People want to know, how do I start reading tarot every day? How do I make it a routine? How do I start if I have no idea where to begin? And I want to break down some of that in this video today. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 things to keep in mind when starting your own tarot routine. For a little bit of context, I have been reading tarot for about 5 or 6 years now, so I've got a little bit of a routine going that I kind of stick with. So hopefully I can share some of my tips with you and it can help you start your very own tarot routine and eventually get to the point where you're reading every single day like I do. This video is for people who already have an understanding of what tarot is. If you would like a video of me breaking down what tarot is, why I do it, why I enjoy it, I would love to do that, but that is a topic for a different day. Without any further ado, let's get into my tips. I've got 3 tips, 3 things to keep in mind when thinking about starting your own tarot routine. So let's dive into number 1. Now, the number one thing I want you to keep in mind when thinking about your tarot practice is that you don't have to have all of the meanings of the cards memorized in your brain. Something people tell me all the time is that they want to read tarot, but they don't because they don't have the cards memorized, and they feel like because they don't have them memorized, they can't read tarot at all. And that is untrue. If there's anything you take away from this video is that that is so untrue. You can absolutely still read tarot even if you don't have the cards memorized. Full disclosure, I don't have the cards memorized. I have guides that I look up because I can't cram all that information in my little neurodivergent brain. But that is why guides exist for a reason. Almost every tarot deck comes with a guide. There are also online guides. You can create your own guide. Guides are so helpful and they don't make you any less of a tarot reader because you need them. Plus, memorizing is super difficult, especially for those of us who are neurodivergent or disabled in any kind of way. It can be really hard to memorize that many cards. And the thing about tarot is I think it should be accessible to everyone. So if you are discouraged because you don't know the cards, I'd like to encourage you to read tarot anyway. Plus, the more you read tarot, the more things are going to stick. The more things are going to kind of take up space in your brain, and the more you read, the more familiar you will get with the cards. Even if you don't get to the point where you can memorize all of them, you will become more familiar with the tarot deck as a whole. But that won't happen until you start reading. So that is my number 1 tip. Number 1 tip, don't worry about memorizing all the cards. Use guides if you have to, there's no shame in it. My second tip for learning how to read tarot every single day is this. Make a ritual out of it. Now, the word ritual sounds a little bit daunting, and I'm gonna break it down for you a little bit, but your ritual can be as simple as complex as you would like. Your ritual can be as simple as sitting down and pulling a card, or your ritual can be as complex as invoking all the elements and lighting sage and doing all of the things. It can be anywhere in between, but the important thing is that you make a little sacred special place for yourself to read tarot. This is also a self-care thing that you can do. Basically, you're just giving yourself time and space to do something for yourself, and I think that's so important to do at least once every day. I would like to share with you my little ritual that I do, and my ritual involves making tea, and that sounds a little silly, but I'll get into it, I promise. So when I make my tea for tarot time, I use it as an exercise in mindfulness. So what I like to do is kind of meditate a little bit, get into a place where I'm nice and calm and relaxed, and then I will start to brew my tea. And when I do this, I pay attention to each step it takes to make the tea. I pay attention to boiling the water. I pay attention to measuring out the tea in my little teacup. I pay attention to the smells, to the tactile feeling of the tea in my fingers. I open all of my senses and allow myself to be fully present in the moment of making my tea. And I know it sounds silly, but it really does kind of help ground me in the present moment and prepares me to read some tarot. Once the tea is brewed, I will sit with it on my little table and I will pull out my cards and I will start reading now that I feel like I'm kind of in a more mindful, more present state of being. And that's it. That's my entire routine. I just make my tea. If I'm feeling fancy, maybe I'll light some incense, but it's very simple. And then depending on the day, depending on how I feel, I may pull 1 to 3 cards, depending on what I feel like I need that day. There are tons of tarot rituals you can look up online, tons of videos from other creators that share their own kind of special rituals, and this is the fun part, is you get to try them all out and decide what you like for yourself. You can take my idea and make yourself some tea. Maybe that's a little too involved for you and you'd like to just light a candle and pull a card and then call it a day. That is also very fine. Basically, what you're doing is you're just making space for yourself and getting yourself into a mindset of, I am doing this thing because it is good for me, because I want to do it, and it is part of self-care, and I am incorporating that into my daily routine because it's good for me. The third and final tip that I have for you all for incorporating tarot into a daily routine is to journal about it. I know this is daunting, but hear me out. Journaling is fantastic, and journaling while reading tarot gives you a direction to journal about, and I find it very, very, very helpful. It's helpful in so many different ways, one of them being it'll help you memorize the cards. If you write down the meaning of the cards and then can look back on them, it'll help that stick in your brain, and you'll become more familiar with your deck. It's also very helpful because it helps you apply the cards to your actual life. It's not just a card that means something. If you sit and you journal and you think about it, you can apply the card to what's happening in your life directly, and it creates such a more personal connection between you and your deck. When I first started reading tarot, I would just pull a card, think about it, move on with my day. But ever since I started journaling about it and writing down and really spending some time with the card, it has helped my practice become just so much more fulfilling. Another thing to keep in mind while journaling is to get a journal that you really, really love and that you enjoy writing in. This is my behemoth of a journal. It is leather bound, it's got handmade paper in it. It is so fancy and the fanciest journal I've ever owned, really, but it makes me so excited to actually sit down and write in it and spend some time in it. It becomes like a fun, special thing. I've also got like a fun pen that it has nice texture and it scratches the itch in my brain and it feels good. So really make it something special. It doesn't have to be a leather-bound grimoire looking book like this. It could be a notebook that has your favorite character on it. It could be the notes app on your phone. It could be anything that just feels good to write in, but make it special somehow. Try decorating it with like stickers or fancy pens, draw in it, doodle in it. Make it a fun place to be in, make it special to you, and make it so that you look forward to writing in it every single day. So those are my 3 main tips, and I have some extra caveats that I've thought about while recording this video that I would like to share with you as well. They're just other things to kind of keep in mind. And the first one is people have this misunderstanding about tarot that you need to be gifted a deck in order to use it and that you cannot buy your own deck yourself. I would like to say that is false. If you would like to read tarot but don't already have a deck, go out and buy one. Go out and buy whichever one speaks to you. Because if you wait for someone to gift you one, that might never happen and you might never start your tarot journey. So it's totally okay to go out and buy one for yourself. The other thing to keep in mind is to buy a deck that you vibe with. This is my favorite deck. It is the Fae Tarot. I bought it at a little witchy shop in Salem. It has been my favorite deck ever since. When you're picking out a tarot deck, pick one that speaks to you in some way. I love fairies. I love the Fae. I loved the art on the box and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it out. And it ended up being my favorite deck that I've ever used. So pick out a deck that vibes with you in some way. Maybe you really like plants, so you get a deck that features a lot of plants. Or maybe you really like a certain kind of art style or a certain kind of theme or motif. Keep that in mind when you're looking at tarot cards. I also suggest going to a store if you can. I know not everyone has access to like a metaphysical store, but if you can, go to a store and pick them up in your hands and feel them and look at them and read the little information on the back. Go out and really experience different decks to see which one you vibe with best. And the last little thing I'd like to say about tarot is I personally think tarot is a great exercise in mindfulness. That is how I mainly use it. I do believe there's a little bit of magic involved, but for the most part, I believe that reading tarot is taking answers from within your subconscious and bringing them out into the surface. So I don't necessarily use tarot to read the future or to predict what's going to happen. Instead, I use it as a way to discover answers that are already within me that I just need a little nudge, a little help in discovering. And I think thinking about tarot in that way really helps it so that I can do it more often and do it without making it this whole mystical, magical thing. It's more so just me taking time to sit with myself, to sit with the magic that is inside me, and a way for me to channel that magic and energy inside me into something tangible. And it's a great thing just to do for yourself every day if you can. All right, so those are my tarot tips. I hope they help you in your own tarot journeys. I love reading tarot. I think it is such an important thing, and I really would love to share my love of tarot with all of you guys as well. So hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you would like more, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm figuring out what I'm doing on this channel still, making videos when I can, but I'm having fun with it. Do expect more witchy type videos, more metaphysical type videos, because it's a huge part of who I am. If you also want more tarot content, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch, and every Monday I do a tarot stream. So I will read tarot for people on stream and answer questions about tarot. It's a fun time. If you would like, my Twitch username is Monique Renee Art. I will have that linked in the bio below, and it's a really fun time. All right, that's gonna be it for me. So thank you guys again for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.